My name is Mary Kate Crowley, and this is my This Is Me final project presentation. I'm going to start off by talking about my 5 findings from personal assessments that I learned throughout this course. The first one that I'm going to talk about is my True Colors assessment. This one was really good for me because I don't tend to dwell on myself much, so this general introductory self-reflection, kind of disguised in this True Colors way, was really good for me to dive into all these reflections we're going to be doing. I learned that I'm a blue. It was interesting to learn so much of my daily interactions or such a big contribution to this overarching categorical arrangement of personalities. My big finding for me was that it was important to know that I largely act based on my emotions. I'm going to need to learn to overcome the weight of my emotions that they have on my decision making and apply this toward working as a physician, since feelings can't be a part of all patient care decisions. The next assessment I'm going to talk about is what is your intercultural communication competence from week 2. This assessment evaluated my ability to interact with people from a wide range of cultures. My key finding from this was that I wasn't as strong as I thought I would be at interacting with other cultures. I rated myself moderately high for most sections, whereas my roommate and close friend rated me on the lower scale. So it was clear that I like interacting with other cultures. However, I wasn't really adapting my communication style in any way to cater to any cultural discrepancies. Being conscious of this will help me to better myself at this skill, so it was a good thing for me to learn all in all. The next assessment I'm going to talk about is my empathy quotient. Empathy is so important in the healthcare field. Understanding where I stand as a level of an empathetic person was really good for me to do. My key finding was that I was pretty in tune with others' emotions. I asked my best friend to rate me to compare, and she rated me just about the same in all categories. This assessment I really loved because it aligned with my True Colors assessment. That taught me that I act based on my feelings and emotions, so it made sense to me that I would excel at empathizing with other people's feelings and emotions as well. The next assessment I really liked was my listening styles. I like this assessment because it compared with averages from other undergrad and graduate students. I evaluated my relational, analytical, task, and critical listening skills. My key finding was that while I scored on average with critical and task listening, I scored above for relational listening and below for analytical listening. I think this is probably due to the fact that I form judgments based on emotions and ideas too fast since I act based on my emotions. Overall, I really love to talk, so this assessment really helped me to learn to take a step back and listen more instead of speaking so much. The last assessment I'm going to talk about is forgiveness granting strategies. As explained by the textbook, forgiveness has both personal and relational benefits, so understanding my forgiveness granting strategies, the ones I use most frequently, are very important for my overall well-being. It was clear that conditional forgiveness and discussion of the offense were both my highest scores. Although it didn't make me a bad person, thanks to this course I can learn to adapt better and healthier strategies to forgive people. The next section of my project is reflection of 5 concepts from this course. The first one I'm going to talk about is communication as a process. It was important for me to understand and learn about the different mediums of communication and their effect on the messages received and given. Gaining the ability to differentiate from asynchronous versus synchronous communication, where asynchronous is a time gap between when the message is sent and received, and synchronous is at the same time. It's taught me to better phrase and deliver my messages so that time delay or real-time discussion won't skew my true message. Next, I'm going to talk about is using perceptions of myself and others through communication. Chapter 3 outlined perceptions, where they stem from and how they impact my communication skills. Understanding standpoint theory and that my position in society will greatly shape my view of it and others makes it clear that the world is based on where we stand within it. This is going to help me check my perceptions better when interacting with others. Next is nonverbal communication. A good understanding of nonverbal cues is a huge contributor to good and successful communication. Knowing that it goes far beyond body language and facial expressions has really taught me how to best present myself to society. Learning about haptics, which is the study of touch, has really helped me deem what's appropriate in professional and personal settings. Some people are touchy, I'm personally not, but it's important to know that other people may take offense to a lack of touch or too much touch. Um, the next topic I'm going to talk about is listening versus hearing. Often people assume that they're the same thing and that if you can repeat the information, that counts as understanding. However, Chapter 7 really set in stone the differences. I learned that hearing is strictly vibrations of the eardrums, but listening is receiving and responding to other messages. So it was good for me to learn that listening isn't just like what you hear, but it's being able to respond to what other people are saying. The last thing I'm going to talk about is that communication patterns vary between groups. Depending on if you're in a close or distant level of intimacy with someone else, your communication patterns are going to be different. Relationships are so important to us as human beings, and using good and appropriate communication for differing intimacy levels is really crucial to maintaining them. Understanding what attributes of communication apply to your romantic, friendly, or familial life can lead to stronger and better relational connections. My final section of my project is 6 ideas that apply to my personal and professional life. The first idea is that since a repeat concept I really took away from the course and lectures and assessments was learning how emotions can come into play throughout communication, I will most definitely be needing to apply this toward my future professional life. To be good at communicating delicate and serious topics, since I want to be a physician, I will need to remember to separate out my emotions. If I'm able to communicate straightforwardly and clearly without being impacted by emotions or beliefs, I think I'll be able to treat patients more effectively. However, the second idea I'm going to need to apply is empathy. While leaving personal emotions out, understanding how families and patients may be feeling, if it's sad or angry, and acknowledging and understanding that, but not being affected by them myself, will make me a kind and professional doctor. I'm going to come into contact with many cultures through my professional career, so if I learn how to respect their values and their morals and their communication patterns, I think I can better gain their trust. Next is that many attributes of both speaking and listening make up good communication. Good communication isn't just about what you hear or how you say it, but it's actually about your tones, your messages, and combined with truthfully listening to and understanding the other person. Fifth, my fifth one is that preconceptions dominate communication. We can do our best to ignore them, but by really understanding our place in society relative to others, we can learn how to carefully and objectively view other people. Know what kinds of stereotypes we must work to overcome in our career is going to help us about preconceptions. If you can intently reply to someone else's thoughts, but ignore your own personal preconceptions, it's going to allow for personal and professional growth. Lastly, I've learned how to apply to appropriately speak with and confront others about issues by setting a positive communication climate. In a professional setting, you're allowed to disagree, but it's got to be done professionally and carefully to not overstep any boundaries. Setting appropriate levels of message confirmation will help me to look the most balanced and intelligent while disagreeing with others and making my argument more compelling. This will also help me to disagree with my friends and family respectfully. In the end, this is me project, and I'm glad to have learned so much from this class.